Hey everyone, welcome to a video for Epic Spell Wars of the Battle Wizards. Any games from this series will contain explicit content, gore, sexual content, violence, language, all the bad stuff that you're not supposed to like or enjoy. So if that stuff offends you, please turn off the video now. Again, there is a warning for awesome, mature content and profanity. Any of these videos in this series will have these. There's no way around it in showing off the content. Therefore, again, if this stuff offends you at any point or before you watch the video, please turn it off rather than complain about it. That is your final warning. Thank you. Bye. Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to Epic Spell Wars of the Battle Wizards Duel at Skullzfyre. So this is the base or the beginning game for the Epic Spell Wars series, which is a spell crafting game. So the quick gist is you're playing as you're casting magical spells which involve wizards, and then the different abilities they're casting. You're trying to defeat your other opponent. You're essentially summoning a lesser wizard to do the job for you. And then whoever, you gain points, and then, whoever wins the most time wins the game. That's just the quick gist of it. You're going to put together a spell from one of three types of cards, but you have some other treasures and some other things that can help bonus or give you extra things to do. If you want more in-depth on how to play, check out the link in the description, which is a full, I walk through on how to play each spell and all that type of stuff. Otherwise, I just want to kind of jump into the content here. So I'll just do a quick flash through the book. There's a big giant story, which is really cool. It actually goes through all the different, tells us sort of what this whole idea is and how they're fighting for this Annihilageddon, the Battle Wizards and all this. And it continues from game to game. List all our different components. Objective is to try and earn 2 wizard tokens. Your setup is fairly simple. You get a giant oversized wizard cards. You're going to draw 8 cards, and then you're going to play those cards in some matter of source. Either a set of 1 to 3 cards, place them face down. Everyone will then draw their card, and then play all their cards, and we'll see who does what damage. Pretty much easy. You resolve your cards in order of source, quality, deliver in that order. There are various magical glyphs, which will represent the different types of spells which can boost each other. Usually sometimes cards, if you play the same glyph, they work well together. You play different glyphs, they work well together. It just depends on the thing. Other various things, again, I went through all these in the how to play rules. Yeah, so definitely cool. And there's all the awesome people that worked on it, especially Corey, shout out to him. And let's go ahead and head into looking at what we have. So, look at some of our components first. We're going to start this big giant tower standee. In this version of the game, it doesn't do anything. It's just there for aesthetics. In the later spellcrafting games, it actually has a purpose. But for this one, it just kind of stands there and looks pretty. We're going to get 4 black and red dice. Now, I have 2 different sizes in my collection, so I don't know if the smaller ones or the bigger ones are the ones that come in this set. But they look the exact same. They're all black and red. Doesn't really matter. You're going to get 6 Last Wizard Standing tokens. Just to keep track of who's won. So if you're playing a 6-player game, if the goal is to get to 2, each player could have 1. So you can have 5. You have 5 total using that last one to go towards the victor. So that's definitely one thing to do. And then finally, we're going to get 6 of these little skulls, which I apparently only have 5 on my table. Must not have grabbed the 6th one. And these are your health trackers. So how do we keep track of health? You're going to get these oversized wizard cards. So this is a regular oversized compared to a regular sized card. These don't do anything in the game outside of keep track of health. So if I'm playing Fate, Tinklebottom, the Enchanter, I keep track of my health. I start at 20, I can go up to 25, I can go down to 1 before I die, and the red area is kind of like your danger zone. Yeah, so for the purpose of that, they don't do anything. They are fun, though, if you want to kind of maybe play theme your character, or like act out your character a bit, you sure can. The backside is just a full artwork of the card, which is really cool. Alright, so let's check out these. We got Faye, Tinklebottom, the Enchanter. So I'm just going to look at the back sides of them because they're a little bit bigger. We have Zanzibar, the Swag Genie. We get Princess Holiday and her Furrycorn. We'll have Pister, the Pissed Wizard. Lady Laserverse of the Space Kingdom. We have Krazatar, the Bloodomancer. Gung, the Spirit Master. And finally, we have Hogs, the House, the huge giant wizard. So those are our initial ones, and they're all interchangeable with any other wizards from other games. Alright, then let's go ahead and hop into our spells. So, alright, first I'll apologize for any glare. It's why I usually like to do unboxings before I sleeve all my cards, because I know I'm going to get glare from the sleeves. But hopefully you can read all these. I will go through and kind of read through each one. So then we're going to go through each element at a time. Each card we're going to get 2 copies of, so I'm not going to hold up 2 of every copies, but we're going to start with Typhoon, Inferno-tastic Chicken. So we have deal 3 damage to each foe who has already acted this round, deal 1 damage to each foe for each elemental glyph in your spell, and target your strongest foe. So this is actually a very powerful combination just in itself, because the first one's going to deal 3 damage, and since you have a 3 initiative, you're probably going to attack last. You're going to deal 1 damage to each foe, so you're going to deal 3 damage to each foe. So your strongest foe could definitely change, but, I mean, if all of a sudden you're doing 7 damage, so that means total one player is going to at least take 10 damage, but potentially if that person had already acted that round too, they could be taking 13 damage in a turn. So it's kind of crazy, and you could potentially shrink that more with treasures and things like that. So yeah, 13 damage in a turn, that's, you know, over half your health if you have 20. That's how quickly this game can go through. Alright, our next 3, I would love to just put them up in front of them, but then they start to tip forward. So we have Magog's Dicey Nuclear Meltdown. So Magog says, choose 1, deal 3 damage to the foe on your left, or 1 to each foe. So it's fun to have that option. Dicey, roll 2 dice, each of your foes, roll 1 dice. For each foe who match 1 or more of your die rolls, suffer damage equal to that roll. And Nuclear Meltdown, target your strongest foe, 1 damage, 3 damage, and 1 damage to each player adjacent to that foe, or 5 as above, but 1 damage instead. Now this could be a very tricky one to watch out for, because each player adjacent to that foe could very easily be you, because once you target your foe, you become adjacent to them. It doesn't skip over you. But yeah, but then, you know, so you want to probably act quick with that one, so you can, you know, determine who your target is before other people hurt them. But yeah, so different. So this might not be the best combination. You know, which that could be very interesting to play. Alright, that's our second set. Each element has 4 sets of cards. And then, so 4 wizards, which are your sources, 4 qualities, which are your adjectives, and 4, oops, we already saw that one. And 4 deliveries, which are basically how you're targeting. So we have Wormator's Delicious Meteor Swarm. Deal 1 damage to each foe for each different glyph in your spell. Foes with odd number HP take 1 damage for each different glyph in your spell, and target your strongest foe. So The last one works really nice, having 2 other same glyphs in there, so you can do 4 damage, 1, 3, or 4. And 20 initiative means it's going to hit, because each of your stronger foes, so if you're dying, it's going to work really well. The only problem is the other 2 are really crappy in here, because they rely on you having other glyphs. So you don't probably want to use them. These 3 cards together. But that's just a good example of how just because they're the same element doesn't mean they have the same. They always have synergy with each other. Alright, then our final elemental is we have Scorchina's Explodifying Lightning Bolt. Deal 3 damage to your strongest foe. Explodifying, which is going to give us a roll in the middle of the thing. Choose your foe, 1 damage, 3 damage, and you suffer 1 damage, or 4 damage, and choose and destroy one of that foe's treasures. And then Lightning Bolt says target 2 foes on your left, 1, 2, or 4 damage. So it's pretty straightforward. First you'll destroy the strongest, then you choose one to deal. And you're going to hit 2 other foes on your left, so hopefully if you're strongest, you might take someone out in 1 turn. Alright, that was our elementals. Let's head to Arcane. Alright, we have the Arcane spells. We have Bleemax Brainiac's Mysterious Cone of Acid. So reveal the top 2 cards of the main deck. Each one with a glyph that matches a glyph in your spell is added to your spell. Discard the rest. Add 1 damage to each foe on your left and right for each different glyph in your spell and each treasure you have. And then Cone is on your left and right. Deal 1 damage, 2 damage, or 4 damage and gain a treasure. So these don't, again, it's one of the things where they're not necessarily going to work together. Cone of Acid would be great to play after. Mysterious would be great to play after Cone of Acid, if you could potentially get that treasure and then use it on the next turn. And Bleemax doesn't really care about any of the other things, but Mysterious wants different glyphs, so it doesn't make sense to play that. And then since Bleemax wants matching glyphs, it's not going to boost up Mysterious at all. But yeah, but you can see there's combinations with different other elements. Sometimes are better. Sometimes it's better to have good synergy of these abilities. Sometimes it's better to have same symbols so you can have a better power roll. It just kind of depends on, you know, what the state of the game is. There's never like, this is the max play. Alright, we have Sir Luxor's Polished Power Vortex. Gain a treasure. Each foe rolls a die. Each foe that rolls 6 gains a treasure. Polish, your strongest foe does 1 damage, 2 damage and gain a treasure, or 5 damage and you gain a treasure. Or Power Vortex, each foe you discard 1 card, 2 damage, and you discard 2 cards, or as above, you also gain a treasure. Yeah, discarding cards. You might be like, why would you want to have to discard cards? Basically, it's the last one's not good, and then the other ones you are at least gaining a treasure and doing damage. So yeah, that's kind of good and bad, you know. Alright, let's hop to the next ones. Oop, I didn't prep them. We have... Alright, we have Beardo Blasty's Two-Faced Dragon Horde. This card copies the delivery of your spell. A player in your choice gains a treasure, then deals 2 damage to that player for each treasure he has. And target each foe with no treasures. Deal 1 damage, 2 damage, or 3 damage and gain a treasure. So this one, like, the middle one doesn't really help, because the last one wants to target foes who doesn't have treasure, unless you want to skip somebody for some reason. But the last two could be, first and the last one could work well together. Because you could potentially do 3 damage to multiple people if they don't have treasures, and you can gain multiple treasures that way. So that's kind of cool. Also, the middle one, you can look at the fact as a player of your choice gains a treasure. You could potentially give yourself a treasure. because it says you are a player of your choice. You can choose yourself. So that's definitely an option. Sneaky, very. But hey, we love sneaky in this game. Then we have our final arcane, which is going to be Professor Presto's Impatient Testicle, which is kind of a good nod to the next game that comes out, which is Battle at Mount Testicle. So we get a little preview there. Deal 3 damage to a random foe. If you play a wild magic as part of your spell, gain a treasure. Impatient. At the start of the initiative, reveal this card. Your spell resolves first this round. Deal 1 damage to each foe. And Testicle. Your weakest foe, 1 damage, 3 damage, or 5 damage, and you gain a treasure. So yeah, these guys really ramp up. Like Elementals seem to do about good damage all the way around. This set's all about gaining treasures. Alright, let's look at Primal next. Alright, so our Primal, which is our green glyph, we have King Oberon's Thundering Gornado. So King Oberon is going to heal for 2. Not bad at all. Thundering deal 2 damage to a random foe. Do this once for each different glyph in your spell. So again, not helpful if you have all the same element. And Gornado is target strongest foe. Do 2, 3, or 6 damage. So it can ramp up pretty fast. So definitely not bad cards to have. Good combination. Healing's always could be very beneficial, but it all depends on how quickly you can do it. So even if you act first, it's like you act first and play like one card that does 1 healing, or it heals for 2, like, oh, I just played that, it's all I'm going to do this turn is heal, and then someone turns around and does 10 damage to you, so it basically made it null and void. Or do you take the risk of, just being like, okay, I'll play a heal, and then I'll play something that does damage, and I'll play another card that does damage, and hopefully maybe I won't get targeted. It's kind of a tricky thing to decide. Here we have Rose Bottom's Bulgarific Fountain of Youth. So you have heal 1 for each different glyph in your spell. Bulgarific is deal 1 damage to the foe on your left, 2 to the foe on his left, and 3 to the next foe on your left, and so on until you've damaged each foe once. So now this won't hit you because you're not your own foe. So it's kind of interesting there. It's so it'll actually circle around you if it had to for some reason. And then Fountain of Youth, you target yourself at 1 to 4. You have no effect, heal 2 HP, or heal 4 HP. So again, you wouldn't want to necessarily combine Rose's Bottom with Fountain of Youth because you wouldn't get as much benefit from her. Although, if you, in a pinch, if you had to, at least get you that extra die, which might get you that extra HP. Alright, up next, we have Dr. Rudy Bark's Prickly Snake Dance. Heal 3 HP, each foe rolls a dice. Each foe who rolls 6 heals 3 HP. So it might not benefit, but it's better you to stay alive than worry about your opponent's gaining life. Prickly, foe on your right, deal 1 damage and heal 1, or deal 3 and heal 3. And then Snake Dance, foes on your left and right, deal 1 damage, 2 damage, or 2 damage to those targets for each primal glyph in your spell. So now, this one's actually a pretty crazy combination. So if you played this all the way through, you could potentially gain 6 damage, or 6 health back. 3 from the first one, 3 from the second one. And then you could do, to the foe on your right, you could potentially do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 damage to them, and then potentially 6 to your opponent on your left. So it's pretty powerful, and if you had something else that gave you more glyphs, you could do even more. Although if you're doing 6 damage, or doing 6 or 9 damage, and then they heal for 3, it's not the worst, but at least, but could keep you alive. Alright, then our final primal is Muzzle Snap's Mighty Grow Fisto Nature. So add 1 die to each power roll for this round. This would definitely be helpful if you have cards that have multiple power rolls. Mighty Grow, heal 2 HP. Then if you're the weakest player, add a random card from your hand to your spell. So this could be very helpful depending on what you draw. And then Fisto Nature, full on your left, deal 1, 2, or 4 damage. Yeah, so good, interesting combination. I love all the artwork on these cards too. Can't argue at that. Alright, let's look at Illusion next. Alright, Illusion are the blue spells. So they're Walker Time Rangers, Ballsy Phasmagoons. So it says, each player rolls a die. Add 1 to your roll for each different glyph in your spell. Deal 3 damage to the lowest rollers. So it's kind of neat, because, like, if you just play this card by itself with no other, with all illusions right now, you play it in this one, you'd only get to roll 1 die. But if you play it with 2 other ones, you could potentially roll 3 dice, which would let you definitely not be the lowest player unless you roll really terrible. Ballsy. Foes to your left and to your right must choose one of their treasures to give you or suffer 3 damage. And then Phasmagoon on your right, 1, 3, or 4 damage. So definitely not bad effects at all. But of course, the big part of this game is you craft these and mix these together with different things. And then you're going to make your own unique spells. So like these are just some sampling, but there's a lot of ones that can be a lot more interesting. So up next we're going to have Pam and Hecuba's Disco Mirrored Bedazzlement. There's a lot of little crystals and gems in this one. So Pam and Hecuba says their delivery targets each foe instead. Miss Disco Mirrored says this card copies the source or delivery of your spell and bedazzlement foe of your choice. Deal 1 damage. Deal 1 damage. You may add a random card from your hand as your spell. As above, but you may choose the card instead. So what's interesting with this exact setup is here. So the first one's going to copy your delivery. So you're going to do your full bedazzlement, and you're going to roll the dice. You're going to have 3 things here. You have a high chance of getting that 10. So it's going to do 1 damage, and then you get to add you get a card from your hand. So now you get to play whatever else you want to make this card more powerful. Then you get to use your disco ball to copy that a second time. So now you might potentially add 2 spells, and then you finally get to yeah, so that's it. You're only going to get the 2 effects on there. So it's only the kind of the downside, because the first one just targets all foes instead of just a foe of your choice. So that'd be my guess is because there's a comma there. It's deal 1 damage. It's not going to be deal each damage to each foe and then draw a card for each. I think it's deal 1 damage to each player, and then you get to add 1 card. Although that might be a clarification you could get in the rules, or you could house rule it yourself, depending on what direction you want to go. Because if you also got to copy this twice, or like 1 for each foe, unless you can play 6 extra cards, you could wipe everyone out in 1 turn. Which, yeah, there are overpowered rules like that, which definitely make this game fun. Yeah, you have 5 other players, and you gotta target each one with that, and each one you gotta add 1 other card from your hand. And you can create some crazy effects that way. Definitely do it. Alright, then we have Pew and Pew's Mind-Altering Brain Suck. Reveal the top 4 cards of the main deck. Add any revealed source cards to your spell and discard the rest. Mind-Altering, deal 3 damage to a random foe. You and that foe each gain a treasure. And Brain Suck, foe of your choice. Deal 1, 3, or 4 damage. You may choose that foe's treasure and steal it. So yeah, the illusion cards have lots of stuff there, like you copy or draw cards. Do some extra different stuff. Not a lot of damage necessarily, but definitely fun. Alright, so then our last set of illusions is Finxion's Catastrophic Vorpal Trap. Choose and steal a treasure belonging to a foe. Catastrophic. Each player rolls a die. Add 2 to your roll. The highest roller is gain a treasure. Each other player takes damage equal to his roll. And then Vorporial Trap. Foe on your left, 2, 3, or 3 damage. And target must choose and destroy one of his treasures or suffer 3 more damage. So it's just to deal with treasures again a little bit. Alright, then let's hop into our final glyph, Dark. Alright, Dark is our skull or black color. We have the Death Fairy's Ritualistic Exorcism. Deal 2 damage to any foe. If that foe dies, repeat this effect. Ritualistic, foe of your choice, roll power, no damage, and you suffer 3 damage or 5. So they kind of penalties if you don't do well in this, but they can also be increasingly powerful. And then Exorcism is each foe, you suffer 1 damage, they take 2 damage or 4 if they have the last wizard standing token, and 10 as above but double the damage. So you potentially could get 1. So using these cards with 1 glyph is not recommended. But yeah, definitely go with like the 10. So that means you deal either 4 or 8 damage, depending on if they have that token. So that could definitely be very powerful. Alright, our next one we have Old Scratches, Festering, Mercy Killing. So roll a die. If you roll a 1 or 3, you suffer that much damage. 4 to 6, you may heal that many HP. So again, 50-50 chance. Festering, your strongest foe who has not acted this round must discard the quality of his spell, if any. I love that one because it changes how someone's spell is going to work. And then we have Mercy Killing. Your weakest foe deals 2, 3, or 4 damage. So picking on the weak guy, take him out. Alright. Group number 3, we have Midnight Merlin's Delicious Pact with the Devil. The Delicious Pact with the Devil, not just any pact with the devil. So he's going to have deal 1 damage to your strongest foe for each living wizard, then draw a dead wizard card. So this will be an interesting one, because like with set 6, they have Anarchy in the Arena. They're changing the rules so there's no longer dead wizards. Basically you die and you're going to gain a token instead of sitting out of the game. So this card basically becomes almost useless. Unless it's going to be 1 damage for each dead wizard token somebody has. Or, you'll have to figure out, some of these cards might need to get rule changes if they're going to get mixed in. But, it's 5 sets later, so it's understandable things are going to change. Devilicious, foe of your choice, deal 2 damage, deal 4 damage and take 1 damage, or 5 and take 2 damage. So definitely the risk there. And then Pact with the Devil, your strongest foe, 1, 2, or 2 damage. If he has a delivery spell, steal it and resolve it as part of your spell. That could be very good. Especially if they have another dark. Alright, then our last set of dark spells and our last spells all together is we have Ben Voodoo's Magedy Death Wish. Each foe rolls a die and takes that much damage. Destroy 1 of your treasures if you have any. Magedy, deal 2 damage to your strongest foe for each dark glyph in your spell. And Death Wish, foe on your right, 2 damage and you take 1, 3 damage and you take 1, or 5 and you take 1. So definitely interesting there. So there were all our different spells. So the next set of cards we have to look at is we are going to get the wild magic cards. And you're going to get 8 of these. So I'm not going to put all 8 up. We have the other 4 here. So that, again, they just take place in one of the other spots in your deck. So if you play it as a quality, you search your deck until you find a quality card. You play it as a delivery, you search it until you find a delivery card. What's really crazy is if you get lucky and you can draw 3 of these, you just play it for your entire spell. And that's hilarious to do. But, there's only 8, so chances of getting all of them, aren't super, super high. Up next, we have treasure cards. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit on these because we'll do these one at a time. So these are the bonuses you get for various cards. So we're going to have the Cheater's Handbook. So if you make a power roll, you may re-roll 1 die. I like this is volume, does it say volume 20? Or is that volume 9? Or sorry, volume 4. So it's the Cheater's Handbook, but it's volume 4. So there's 3 other volumes of the Cheater's Handbook. The Trickster's Boots. This treasure counts as illusion card in each of your spells. It gives you extra glyph. You get 1 of those for each different element. This is a one for Primal, which is the Woodlord's Clogs. We'll have the Pumps of Power, which lets you use an elemental. The Moccasins of Mana, which use Arcane. And the Demon Shoes, which do darts. It's kind of funny because they're all footwear, which are what are going to give you additional power. So that's dart. We do have another book here, I just noticed, which the first one lets you reroll power rolls. Here we have the Big Book of Awesome, which gives you +2 to power rolls. I was just trying to see if there was any other books in here, because I didn't actually realize that was kind of what they did. Yeah, otherwise there are lots of equipments and stuff like that. Alright, let's just hop into the rest here. So we have Methion's Backpack of Speed. So again, this is a Wizard Go Lucky. It appears as a champion, which are the oversized cards, in one of the later games. Your spells have +10 initiative. You may discard this treasure to act last in a round. Skullzfyre's Ring of Power. This is another wizard that will appear later. So yeah, you may add 2 dice to each power roll for each power you make for a quality card. So it has to be the middle one. We have Kingor the Sharp Seer's Crown. So I don't believe he's yet a character, but it doesn't mean he won't be at some point. Your power rolls have +1 for each different glyph in your spell. Then we have a set of equipment. We can get Lady Luck's Garters. When you reveal a spell, you play 2 or fewer cards, add a random spell from your hand to your spell. Lady Luck's Brazier. Discard this treasure to roll 1 of your power rolls, then gain a treasure. And Lady Luck's Panties. Whenever you roll only 1 die, add 2 to your roll. The Joker Wild's Codpiece. When you play this spell, it contains 1 or more wild magic cards, heal 2 HP, and gain a treasure. We have Plink Cannon. Start your turn, deal 1 damage to the wizard on your left. So not super powerful, but not bad either. Amulet of Meneg, I guess. When you make a power roll, heal 1 HP for each natural 6 you roll. Natural 6 means one that you roll that doesn't say change a die to a different number, or it's not add 2 to that roll. We have Fool's Gold. Heal 2 HP whenever a power rolls result is 4 or less. The Fister Cannon. Add 1 die to each power roll for each deliveries card. Crown of the Meek. Each dark card cast by a foe deals 1 damage to that foe. To that foe before the card's effect resolves. So this is interesting. This is the only, I think, one of the only cards that specifies one of the other elements or glyphs. None of the other ones do, other than gaining the extra glyph. The Thinking Cap. When you gain this treasure, you draw 1 card. Your hand size is increased by 1. The Let's end this shit. Add 2 to your power rolls for each dead wizard. Proton Gem. You may count this card as a spell face up. It counts as a wild magic, but is not discarded. That's kind of neat. So you can add that and you can keep using it every turn. The Slow Roller's Throne. When you are the last wizard, tracking around, add 1 die to each of your power rolls. Desperation Stones. If you have 9 or fewer HP, you add 1 die to each of your power rolls. And finally, the Double Downer. When a foe plays a card with the same name as a card in your hand, you may discard that card. If you do, deal 2 damage to that player and heal 2 damage. So that's kind of fun as well. It's kind of, might not hit every time, but it could. Alright, then the last set of cards and the last thing we'll go through on here are the Dead Wizard cards. So if you die, you get to draw one of these, and then every turn you come across, it's your turn, you draw another one until the round ends. So it's kind of weird. There's 3 copies of some of these. There's multiple different ones. So each one is supposed to link to one of the specific oversized characters. So we have the Big House. Actually, put the wizard card up there and we can kind of look at them. You can kind of see how they go with that character. There's some glare. So it says you start the next game with 3 HP, and you get 3 of those. I did not have these in order to do this, so give me 1 second between each one. So we get 3 copies of Wild Furricorn Meadow. So that's our Princess Holiday. It's like there's her crown, there's the corn, her end of her staff, like the little nods of the stuff. So at the end of your current game, find a wild magic card, set it aside. After you draw your starting hand, next game, add it to your hand. Three copies of Slag Shangri-La. Oop. Those all fell off, that's fine. So here we have Zanzibar, the Slag Genie. To start the next game, place one die on your character. Add it to each power roll you make on the first turn, then remove the die. It's just kind of like he has Crystal, his shoulders, his lamp there. You can see it's just kind of fun. Although it kind of looks like at the bottom here, like that might have been set up for like with the stars, like maybe it was a slot machine. Not a slot machine. That's a slot machine. Then we have 3 copies of Pixie Parade, which is our Faye Tinklebottom. You can see his wand there on the top, his shoes, some clouds around him. After you've drawn your starting hand the next game, draw 2 additional cards. So this is kind of neat because it, like, although these are end things and everyone gets them, it kind of does give like an interesting like thematic thing to the characters, at least a little bit. That I think kind of sparked the like familiars and stuff from later sets. Alright, so then we have Backlash from Beyond for Krazatar. There's like the shoulder pads. There's actually like probably maybe, I don't think that's probably his skull, but it's definitely somebody's skull. Maybe the guy up at the top. Plus his sign is upside down, which is sort of funny. Draw 2 cards, or deal 2 damage to the foe of your choice. You kind of just start out hitting someone right off the bat. And we're only going to get 2 copies of this. I'm not sure why it wasn't the same amount for each one. It's probably just more the ability is too powerful versus trying to make it even per character. So then we have Nectar of Nirvana for Pister, the Pissed Wizard. There's like his backpack and his tag, some alcohol. It says, you're dead, live with it. You don't even gain a bonus for that. Then we get 4 copies of the Giant Space Kingdom in the Sky for Lady Laserver. Yes, I'm guessing these are like her packs that are on her back. Yeah, there's not really a lot that super connects her to that other than it being space themed. Like, you don't see her laser gun in the picture or like that bulb. But that's clearly who that's supposed to be for. You start the next game with 2 extra HP, so you get 4 of these cards. And then the last one you get 5 to start with, or there's 5 in the game, not to start with, which is Afterlife Artifact for Jung Jung, the Spirit Master. It says at the start of the next game, gain a treasure. So it's kind of like the easier effects, extra HP, extra treasure. There's more options to get them. And then the later ones that go a little bit extra effects, like rolling extra dice and things, there's less of. But it's definitely a fun idea. Alright, so that is what we have for Epic Spell Wars of the Battle Wizards Duel Mode Skullzfyre. So thanks for joining me again. You can check out that link in the description for a more thorough how to play if you're more interested in that than just what's in the set. Check out the other unboxings for the other spellcrafting games, or the Annihilageddon versions, which are the deck building games, which are definitely fun as well. And if it's still January of 2023, go check out the, or beginning of February, check out the Kickstarter, which has the 6 box set and Annihilageddon 3. See you guys later. Bye.